Alexandra, of course.
Hey.
It's amazing to have you on.
Thank you.
Welcome to Speak for Change.
Thank you. So happy to be here. We love Speak for Change. We love Thomas.
Oh, man. I love you.
Yes. The love is mutual. It's so good. Okay.
All right. All right. So, yeah, let's start there. Like, what is
So
up with So Good? It
good.
feels like it just, like, popped out of nowhere, quote, unquote. You know, just like, pff,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, it was like 1 month it was there and 1 month it was everywhere.
Yep.
So tell me what inspired that? What is it? Tell the listeners what it is.
Oh
What
my
is it?
gosh. Of course. So Good popped out of nowhere, just like me, you know? Oh my gosh. So Good has developed into so many different things.
Oh my gosh. We're doing
Listen,
this.
the marketing is real, y'all. You got to push what you can when you can push it. But I say So Good, oh my gosh. So Good started with me just dropping my album. So it's actually been around since 2019, and it was the label that I used to drop my album because my parents are lawyers, so I'm a smart girl.
Yeah.
Right? You know, just being
Yeah.
like, and it was like, how do I want to represent myself? It's actually because I was trying to figure out my artist name. And
Oh,
originally
okay.
I wanted my artist name to be So Good.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But I didn't
'Cause-
feel like,
What is it now? Is it still Alexandra the author?
yeah, it's the author. And
Yeah, I like
and then
that.
originally too, I went through like different languages.
Yeah.
Like I put So Good in different languages and the author.
Oh.
And it was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, this isn't like, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
I had to choose one. And
Yeah.
that's like how I ended up being like, okay, So Good Entertainment
Mm-hmm.
is me. But it's also Alexandra the author. So then I just did it that way. And originally, like before even So Good, before like all the things, I like with songwriting, originally I wanted to write songs for people.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you had, you know, like the way you know songs get carried. It's like
Yeah.
the one thing that we carry from folks, you know, folk
Yeah.
tales and everything. Everybody knows Itsy Bitsy Spider. Twinkle.
Right.
It's something that continues to keep going, and so I wanted to do that for other people. You know, I wanted to be like, hey, if you have like create family songs, or if you have a baby, make custom songs
Yeah.
for people.
Oh,
And for
that's
charities
cool.
and for venues and
Yeah.
for just not necessarily jingles, but like this is your keepsake,
Yeah.
you know? And that did not pan out for me because people wouldn't they're like, $500 for a song, that's crazy. And I'm like, yeah, but it's yours, you know? It's your family. Like if your grandma dies or something, whatever you want special, because I'm good at putting those words in. So originally it was there, and then I was like, okay, this isn't working. So it kept on branching to like different things because I knew I wanted to touch on like, you know, one, the helping people, giving people something that they couldn't necessarily give themselves.
Yeah.
Also making sure that we're tying in, you know, soul good. What is good for the soul?
Yeah.
Making sure that I can help foundations and charities that are already doing things that I want to do, but like
Yeah.
I didn't got time to start a charity for the freaking homeless and
big
for the
old
food, all those
nonprofit or
things,
something.
right? I don't
Yeah.
have time to do all the things,
Yeah.
but I'm like, okay. So then I was like, okay, well then maybe I'll start throwing fundraising shows for companies. And then I was
Yeah.
like, okay, how am I going to do that? And I was like, all right, well then you need to have artists. But I didn't want to be responsible for actually having a label because of my own music and doing my own thing. So it just kept over years, like just getting chipped at and, you know, all the
Yeah.
different like pieces of like, okay, exactly what is. Even now still, it's still, I think not people confuse, but Soul Good Entertainment is not Soul Good Sundays. Soul Good Sundays
Oh.
is something that Soul Good Entertainment puts on.
Oh,
But
I
Soul
see.
Good Entertainment is
Yeah.
is something different. It is not only just a production house, but it is, you know, as an event coordinator, but also then we have, I mean, by the end of the year, I'll have like booked and rostered about 120 artists from the Bay Area, like from California. And so then it's also like, okay, it's also like a promotional thing. It's a networking thing, but also it is very much the tool that I'm using to ladder myself to where I need to be, but then to also put the ladder there and then
Yeah.
ladder everybody up. So, I mean, it has its form of like what it's becoming. It's developing into an app where you could just go in and be like, hey, I need to hire a musician at this time.
Wait. You're developing an app?
Yeah, the Soul
All
Good
right,
has an
keep
app.
going.
Soul Good I'm working on developing the app for Soul Good, and also, I mean, they have the website right now, but there's
Yeah.
just so many different things that I want to touch on with
Yeah,
it,
totally.
and it really pulls back into then like doing good for the community. And Soul Good Sundays originally was just me advocating for. Can I swear?
Yeah.
was me advocating for niggas. Okay, like on some real shit. On some real shit, because as an artist and musician here, you probably know yourself. There's not necessarily always space and room. And I don't necessarily just mean for Black people, but for the creativity and the authenticity that comes with your culture. I think specifically, and that doesn't just touch on for Black people, but I can't speak for Latinos, you know. I can only speak for, you know, me and my Black self and my Black son and the things that I can touch on. You know, how I booked every single artist for So Good in the way that I speak in language is nothing that, you know, half of these other promoters can do. You know, I'm over here being like, yo, it took all of us to get out of slavery. Okay, I need y'all to come over here because we're trying to get out of slavery. And it just works because they get it. They get it and they understand and they know. And they understand that it's not necessarily about the crowd being the biggest crowd, but it's about a receiving crowd, and it's about creating a space where you actually can feel like yourself and actually be yourself. And Woodhouse has granted us the access to completely be ourselves. I mean, like, I walk in there and sometimes I think I own a place. And it's just because they give me the ability to run my shit and the respect and every single artist. And the first So Good that we had was for Black History Month. That was, I want to say, the 25th of February. And I had Unlearn the World, who just got off his tour. And we had Q and Alwa. And I had this one artist, his name's KB the Jug. And he's from San Jose, and he came up to me before, and he's like, "Wow, this place is so nice and everything." He's like, "Thank you so much." You know, especially with hip hop artists, you're not always in the best venues. Okay, let's be real. You're not always gonna get the best venues and the best bathrooms. And he comes up to me, and he's like, "So when my song says the N-word, like, can I say it?" And I was like, "Of course you can say it. Like, I want you to be here with your music." And he was so like, "I feel so uncomfortable here and say it." And I'm like, "I want you to feel comfortable. This is your music. This is your story." Yes. And you say niggas because that is what is real for you. And then after that happened, I had a woman come up to me and she was like, "I love what you're doing here." But she's like, "That artist really didn't need to say the N-word." And she's like, "I found that really inappropriate." And I was like, "Actually, he did, because this is a space that we're creating to be yourself." And I'm like, you know, I say stuff around my kid all the time, you know, and I want it to be real. But also, too, like, if you're going to be mad at anybody for the fact that he said the N-word, you can be mad at me, because I was like, I was like, don't be mad at him. He asked me. He actually asked beforehand. But it's the fact that we feel that we need to ask to be ourselves beforehand. And so originally it was like, cool, let's take that space. And there were so many Black people up in that first So Good. I was, honest to God, so surprised how well I pulled that off. Or, you know, not even how well I pulled off, but the fact that it was obvious that it was needed. It wasn't just my magnetism for me being me. It was that I'm not the only person that needs to feel like there's a space where they can just be. And that means no discrimination on money. That's why they're free. I mean, I pay all the artists, and I pay all the artists out of my pocket, and I do this because it's like, I don't have time to wait for these grants, or if I wrote it correctly. This is stuff that needs to be filled now. For my son who goes to school, who doesn't get representation, or who gets called the N-word, and I'm constantly battling with the school. I don't have time to wait. He's developing now. He needs to see this Sunday. Not I can't wait till a year. I can't wait till 3 years when he's 15, like, you know. So it was like all these needs that needed to be filled. And I guess that's really how So Good Sundays like popped up in here. And I only planned to do the first one. It was like, cool, let me just make a statement. Boom. And then it just was like, people was like, I need it. And it was just like, we had this really high momentum from it, this super high momentum of just receiving from people. And it didn't matter that I dropped like $800 that I didn't have, or I didn't make, it had nothing to do with the money. It had to completely do with the way that people felt, the way artists felt. People saying who don't come to Santa Cruz. Like, I'm not an artist that tell me, "Oh, I wish I could come play in Santa Cruz, but they don't book me here, or my type of music, or I can't be in there." And it's like, wow, you don't even feel like you can be accepted here, or it's so hard for me to get booked here, or this and that. And it's so infuriating to me as an artist, as a person of color, or whatever, that I was like, you know, so somebody gotta make some shit shake. And that was it. And so I was like, damn, I can't stop. And that came to the point where there are artists now, like we have Electric Mud, who's from San Diego, who just opened for the Rolling Stones, and they'll be playing August 17th. They could have found anybody else it has nothing to do with, they could have found anybody else to, you know, book them or anything. But there's something specific that we're creating in our audience at So Good. It's well, like if you're a part of the So Good audience, that means you're One, you're going to be there to receive the music. You're going to appreciate people. You're going to feel welcome. You're going to feel open. I don't think I've had I have not had a single problem at like any of the Soul Goods in terms of like the crowd or people not feeling. I've never had an artist being like, man, this wasn't it. It doesn't matter how big the crowd was. Everybody was unbelievably happy to be there. And then also was like, when can I come back?
Right.
And like, that's the thing about Santa Cruz too. And I, talking to my friends like Isle Banjo, who, does a bunch of stuff with UCSC, or, even talking with you or talking with Kat or talking with any of us who are kind of activisms in this town. It's this lack of retention that gets held, and it's like, what do you do to keep people? You got people of color who come all the time in UCSC. They're here. Yeah. We're all here, but we don't stay. Why don't we stay? Why do you go why do you go all the way back to LA to get your hair braided? Oh, because you can't get it done here. Why do you go all the way to Oak? Oh, because you can't get what you need here. Oh, why do you do that? Because there's nothing that's holding you here. So what do we need to create something to hold, something to look forward to, something that's like, cool. I know that once a month, I can't do it every week. Because I don't have it in me. And
it's hard, man.
But I can know that once a month that I can go to a space and I'm going to see people who look like me. I'm going to listen to music that might be played on my playlist. Yeah. And I just can be. Yeah. I don't have to pay for anything. I can just park my car and walk up. I can bring my own lunch if I want, because it's Woodhouse. You can bring your own lunch. You can bring whatever. It's a space. Yeah. And I can just be in that space. There's kids around, there's dogs around. There's literally, I've had people from babies to old ass 90 people, like 90-year-old people in there. There's really no discrimination from my teenage sisters who come, in the 18, 17 age range. But it's the fact that that's feeding everybody somehow. Yeah. And that's also why I choose the time for it too. 3 to 7 or 4 to 7:30. It's doable. As a parent, it's doable for a parent. It's doable for somebody who's older. It's really trying to figure out how to remove discrimination, because somehow there always seems to be there's just nothing is ever really free. And so how can we just be, also I want, like, Soul Good is an example, right? Like how many things you want to change or be in this world or whatever. We need examples. That's how I am as a mother. I don't know shit as a mother. I always tell my son that, hey, I don't know. I had my baby when I was 18, but I will do my best to be the best example that I can. And I'll let you know when I'm wrong. I'll let you know when I mess up all the time. I keep it a buck. I'm really genuine. And it's like, I need an example. I think that there's a lot of ignorance too, because we don't necessarily have examples. We can sit down, we can talk all day, but show me. We are learners. We are hands-on. At least for me, hands-on. I need to see it. I need to see. I don't see people like me, right? I don't see people like me doing things like I'm. So it's hard for me to even sometimes own my success, because I haven't seen people who act the way I am or look the way I am or do the things I am successful. Yeah. So it's like all those things need to be put in place. And I know it's a really long answer, but Soul Good is like, that's why it's an astronaut too, right? Because it's out of this world. It's out of this world, and the creativity, it's beyond the universe. Like you can go anywhere, and that's why there's no face to the Soul Good logo. Yeah. It could be anything you want. It could be you on there. It could be a fucking giraffe behind there. Yeah. I don't know who's riding the ship, but it rocket off, and there's no, just like with imagination and creativity, there's no limit. So there's no limit to what Soul Good is. If it's good for your soul, then it's Soul Good.
I mean, it's amazing how these events, and like not just your events, but like other events in the community and everything have been forming the culture of Santa Cruz County, and that gives me hope for Santa Cruz, because Santa Cruz is it's historically a white, not historically, I don't know if that's appropriate, but like right now it's a white town, and it doesn't really, there's economic diversity-ish. Yeah. And there is diversity in, like, maybe thoughts, but there's not diversity of race or culture, And I think with, like, Soul Good Sundays and just Soul Good Entertainment and all the stuff that you're just doing with that umbrella, you're creating, you're making a blueprint. I think we're all kind of collaborating in some form, like just by existing in the same space, such a small space, and having only a small amount of us, black folks in Santa Cruz, who, and then even a smaller amount who are actually actively trying to do things, that we are making almost like a blueprint of how to change culture exactly in a town. Yeah.
Exactly. Because we can shout and step all we want about it and have You know, it's like stuff when I went to go, when I go perform at like a community forum or the things, it's also be observing like what brings Santa Cruz out. Where does Santa Cruz lie in loyalty? Santa Cruz will come out for an event.
Yeah.
But then you got to so you got to study all the things. And I spend a lot of time as a musician either studying that or just as a party witnessing when they come, you know. Unfortunately, people don't just want to stay at a community forum and listen to the things for an hour and a half to 2 hours. That's just real. So then you have to figure out the ways that, like, we are consumers. We love to buy. We love to be on a trend. We love to all that stuff. So it's like, how can I take the conversation out without taking the conversation out?
Man, I love what you just said.
Yeah.
Because I think just having that realistic perspective, like something that I struggle with is that, you know, not sometimes I do study, I see that, like, you know, if we're using community forum or some kind of just like talking event, that a lot of people don't show up, right? Usually, unless it's like a celebrity speaking or something, right? But in my head goes kind of idealistically. It's like, oh, well, we're going to have to like educate the people or figure out a way to, you know, inspire people to come to these things. But in reality, I really appreciate what you just said. It was like, you know, no, let's just look at where the people are at.
Yeah.
And like, let's work on how to come to them.
Yep.
You know, and how to build something for them that's accessible for the community that we are here with.
Yep.
You know, and so I think like Afrobeats is a good example, right?
Yep.
You know, we've got all these stuff going on here, right?
Yep.
Where tons of people show up for Afrobeats
On time.
because Santa Cruz loves dancing.
They do.
You know, Santa Cruz people love
Santa
to
Cruz
dance.
love to get lit.
Yeah, you know.
Be free.
I went to 4th of July over there, and it was so crazy. I ran into people I haven't seen in like 15 years.
Because they love to be outside.
Yeah. I'm like, where have you been? And they go, I've been just doing my thing. But like, you're like, wow, it's bringing old Santa Cruz with new Santa Cruz. And Woodhouse is like this beautiful community kind of space, you know? So it was like my first time at Woodhouse. And ironically, my first time at Afrobeats, which is hilarious because, you know, I was talking to Jason like about Afrobeats and before Afrobeats when it was happening. And I just haven't made it to an event. I've been just every Thursday, I'm just kind of like,
I feel
like
it.
middle of the week or end
It's
of the
a
week.
Thursday.
I'm just like, you know, and man, I'm just so impressed. And like, that is like a perfect avenue. Could you imagine like let's, you know, IO or something, speaking of IO, and like, let's say IO did like a little impromptu motivational speech in between a DJ set or with
that's
like
what I think you need.
DJ with the background or something, you know?
That's like where these things need to go. Even doing stuff with Housing Matters. When we did our Housing Matters thing, right?
That's right.
That event was amazing.
Yeah.
And it was superb. But something that I noticed oh, my bad.
Oh, you're good.
Okay. Had to make sure it was my son's camp. But even like noticing like train of thought.
No. It's real. Yeah. No, I get you.
But yeah, like you need to
because we were talking about IO, like, you know, coming in and like
yes, there
and
you
then
go.
in the homeless
Oh
event.
yes, the homeless event. Yeah, so it's like it was great. And one of the things that I sat down with because So Good is linking up with Housing Matters to do our soul gala, which is going to be amazing. It's just like you got to give people what they want, you know.
Yeah.
And also too, people love drama, people love action, people love entertainment. They love the theatrics, right?
Yes.
So give them a show.
Right.
It's not just, and I don't mean just a live show with the music and everything. Give them entertainment because people eat that shit up all the time. The TikTok. There's so much that we could be doing, right, for all these things and needs and so on. But we will automatically always fall back into our go back on my phone. I'm gonna post this because it matters. But go back on my phone. Oh, I'm still gonna buy Craylaw. Okay, you know, go. What is the thing that's gonna you out? It's an experience.
Yeah.
That is what moves us and that is what changes us, is an actual experience. So it's like you have to give people that. And people are not, it's not an experience. Everybody's already experienced sitting in a class. Everybody went to grade school. We already sat there and had somebody talk to us for too many hours. That whole checkout, like, even though you know it's important, I'm not going to be engaged the whole time. I'm sorry, you could be the best speaker. You could be unless you're getting like some crowd interaction, even if you look at like big forums with like giant motivational speakers, there's somebody's getting pulled out in the crowd. Somebody's crying. Somebody's having like some moment revival. Yeah. There's some interaction, right? There needs to be that part in there. And then also you need to add the show.
And you know, there's like popular speakers are popular for a reason. You
Yep.
know, they usually are entertainers.
Exactly.
I mean, like I even it's funny. Because as coming from a musician, there's a long time in my artist musician career where I was just like hated performing. You know, I love creating music. I love getting that vibe, but performing was like felt just so fake, unreal. I don't know. It just wasn't the vibe, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't until I started doing my live podcasts, you know, where I was doing live speaking, public speaking and conversations, that I started to say, I was performing then, you know? And I was like, wow, wait a second. This is the same thing, you know? And it's not, I guess, the honest truth, you know, you get into like a vibe, like a persona or something, and it's like, you know, I learned this in Cabrillo when I was going through school, Cabrillo College. You know, when I was going through music school, like jazz school, I remember doing this jazz combo, and I remember I was really nervous in the meeting. We're about to perform, you know, and I was about to go on the stage, and I remember just giving myself, deciding not to worry about what my teacher thought, what the other players thought, what the audience thought. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to give it my all, and anything that happens on this stage is the performance.
Yep, it is.
You know, so if I, you know, and I've seen people choke, you know, on stage, and they're like, you know, and I'm like, I've never done that because I just start improvising. You know, and then I'm like, this is the show. Whatever happens here, make it the performance.
Exactly.
Like if you're choking, time to like really lean into that emotion.
Hold that choker.
Yeah, figure out how to make that the actual performance.
Exactly.
You know, if something goes wrong, make that into the story.
Exactly.
You know, the story that you're telling the audience by your actions and your behaviors.
Exactly.
You know?
And like everything on the news, everything we do is entertainment. And people like to think it's not. When we go talk to Sally, you know, and whatever, the grocery, it's to some degree, we are always in a performance. We are always actors or whatever, artists to some degrees. I fully believe that when they're, you know, people, oh, I can't sing like you. Yeah, because you're not me. You know, you can sing like you. You can do you like you. You can't do it like me. But it is a show. It is a show all the time. We want to show people certain things about us. We don't want to hide certain things. But same thing, the shit in the back of the curtain, you know, there's crazy shit going on when I'm running around with that clipboard at Woodhouse, y'all, and I got 4 phones, like, you know, like it looks, you know, but the show must go on. And so it's just like, let's create. Santa Cruz is a stage. You know, I was telling people all the time for when I was writing my proposals to how I'm gonna connect with bigger, because a big reason I'm doing like all these shows this year for free too, it's also build my portfolio up, right? I'm not trying to ask anybody for money. I'm like 100% this was off a Black woman's back and my money off a single mom. Like there's no reason that you can't either, right? I take care of my kid. This all is coming out of my motherfucking pocket. Money I don't have, but I make it work, right? Because it's actually that big of it. It's like taking care of my son. It doesn't matter if I don't have it. I make it work. But also, so when I go to these places, you know, when I go hit these people up, you know, it's been me, my power and everything and how I'm going to have this conversation. But when I was writing my pitch, I was like, man, how do I say this for like what I'm like, you know, your elevator pitch. And to me, it was like, what is Santa Cruz? Like, what does a blank canvas need?
Yeah.
What does a blank canvas need?
Paint.
And what is paint?
Colors.
Yeah.
You know?
It needs some color. It needs some color. Santa Cruz is such a beautiful blank canvas.
Oh, man. Oh.
And it has of course, you know, but that's what I mean. Like the beach is beautiful, right? But it's not empty. There are people there. But you know what I mean? It's blank. To me, Santa Cruz is a gorgeous blank canvas that just needs some paint.
Yeah.
And so it's like, let's paint. Like, let's paint. Let's seriously paint this town.
I always think of Santa Cruz because so many people move here, just like retired people. Some retired people, some people who just want to chill, you know, live like that life. But the culture is changing, for one. But because of that, if you're an ambitious person in Santa Cruz, you quickly rise to a top. You become really well known very fast. Yep. Because a lot of people are not that ambitious in this town. This town has historically attracted kind of more of a
slow
moving. Yep. But what's cool about that is that it's very nurturing.
Yes.
It's like a nurtured soil. Like a lot of cool things have started here. Netflix started here. CrossFit started here.
Exactly.
You know,
Freaking bike shit.
Bike,
you know?
Santa Cruz Guitar, which is actually blowing up.
Speak for Change podcast.
Speak for Change podcast.
You know, all the things. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is because this place it does nurture creativity, but now, but we need depth.
Yeah, now we need to like now I want you to take the fact that we've built you bricks,
yes,
and now we're gonna build foundation,
yes,
concreteness,
and like I think this push toward diversifying this town is really like it's such a benefit to this town.
Yeah,
you know, and I think one of the ideas that I would love is going through the artist angle, and I think that's what we both share, right? Is like this, because you know, I was thinking of running for politics just on an artist platform.
Please do.
And not win, but just to get the conversation going.
Yeah, no, I feel you. You know? Let me be up Kanye.
Because we need affordable housing. We need subsidized housing in this town.
Yeah, you need somebody who's not afraid to like talk their shit.
Yeah. And because like, and the artists here, there's so many it's like
so many artists.
This town could be a destination location for the arts.
For arts, yeah.
And like, but no one has really pushed, like Tannery Art Center is probably the best place in town, like regarding diversity arts, but it's probably the most forgotten place in town. And
it's 100%.
You know, not enough attention, even though the city technically owns part of it. You know,
I didn't know that.
Owns the land, I believe. Yeah, they own the land, and so they have an invested interest in its success, but they just it's like they've given up on it.
Yeah,
and I feel like as organizers, we need to figure a way to like really organize so that we can and just make change, right? So that the arts can like really flourish. But affordable housing is a big thing, man.
It's a huge thing. Affordable housing.
Like, what's up with all these buildings being built and like not affordable at all?
Exactly.
I'm not talking about the legal definition of affordable housing, by the way. I'm talking about actual affordable housing. You know, not oh, this is tier 1 affordable and this is tier 2. It's like no, dude, like
make it affordable.
Yeah, you're $3,500 a month is not affordable.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
exactly. Because what are you eating
for like a one little
hut
apartment thing? You know, I'm like no, that's just not. That's inappropriate.
Yeah.
You know, for humanity.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's
disgusting.
Like, and like our politicians are treating it as like. They're treating this as more of a strategy, right? They're treating like they think this is a long-term strategy. They get more money, then they can invest in more programs and all this stuff. They're not treating it as an emergency.
Exactly.
You know, and I think that's the difference between a lot of progressive candidates and a lot of like Santa Cruz middle way candidates. I separate because in Santa Cruz, if you took any candidate and you threw it in the national conversation, they pretty much all would be leaning kind of progressive.
Yeah.
But like in this town, we have like, you know, it's all kind of lean, just like kind of pushed to the left, you know? And so, you know, I was thinking that the other day, why isn't it an emergency? But like,
that's how I feel.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like, you know, it's always been an emergency. And, you know, recently I was telling my Summer Red, telling him there's a big part of me. As much as I do speak about, being Black Santa Cruz, I also did really just recently revoke that I didn't want, obviously it's a Black-owned company because I'm Black, but not to have it be focused on that because I also feel like that is a huge issue in Santa Cruz. I can get what I need because I'm Black, or I can pull my Black card, but that also then makes it not only apparent that there is that divide, but that is the thing that I have to use to say that I need to get into this door. Why can't I just be successful because I'm successful?
Icky, right? It feels kind of icky.
It almost makes it feel like, okay, I know that if I am writing this grant, if I just mention that I'm Black, I have a little bit of this. Or you know?
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's funny with the Speak for Change thing, right? I remember writing this grant, and literally, I never thought when I did the Speak for the events, I never thought really like, oh, I'm highlighting BIPOC voices specifically. It just happened that I highlighted mostly Black and BIPOC voices because those are the people in our town who are doing freaking amazing things. Yeah. You know, and I was like, yep. I mean, and like, yes, they're like my community and they're Black and they're homies.
It's also like where you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Right? Like, also, like, you're attracting that because you're
Yeah.
a safe person, because you represent that safety. I
Yeah.
know that I can go here and I can say things like niggas, or
Yeah.
I could be myself, or come in
Right.
here disheveled after this, and I know that you can still look at me and I'm still Alexandra.
Yeah.
I'm still everything, but I can be here. I don't have to, like, real shit. If this was maybe like some other white woman or some
Yeah.
other white person, or maybe not even white,
Yeah.
you know, but some other person who didn't already make me feel as I was comfortable just being me,
Yeah.
I would definitely come in here. I would be a little more faced, for
Yeah.
sure. My
Yeah.
my clarity would be, you know, I'd probably
Yeah.
sit up a little. But that's just also ingrained in the way that I've had to move. I probably am not the only person that can relate on that, right? So it's like, where can I go in spaces then as well where I can actually have the real conversations? I don't have to worry about my anxiety.
Yeah.
Is my answer sound correct? Did it
Yeah.
offend you?
Yeah.
You know, take all, because that's real.
It's
that's
so
real.
real.
Or how much
So
of this,
real.
how much of what I'm saying is gonna make you feel uncomfortable when
Yeah.
you're asking me to sit here and talk
It's-
about my truth, but then you want to be like, oh, really? That's Seneca? Is it? Does it? No, yes, Sally, I do. Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like when talking to, I mean, you know, specifically white folks, but I mean, it could be like Latinx folks or some other thing, but like especially around the conversation of racism in this town,
Yeah.
right? I'll briefly touch on this. I know I've touched on this a lot, you know, on
Yeah.
this podcast, but
Hey.
like, you know, it's a thing, you know, because it's a different flavor of racism, right? There's a lot
Yes.
more exotifying. I don't know the exact term, but like where you kind of like just like, ooh, they're so precious. Ooh, let me touch their hair.
Yes.
Oh, I want
Yes,
black
child.
people here. Oh,
Yes.
I just want to be surrounded by black people
Yes.
because they're so interesting and
Yes.
like, you know, making them like exotic,
Yes.
right? Like there's like exotic like thing to be
Yes.
collected
The
and
rarity.
and I think
Almost like collecting slaves. What?
oh, ooh, yeah. It's like it's a lot of like get out vibes, right?
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah.
And so it's funny because I watched that film and someone, you know, who I was talking to, who is white, was like, "Oh, that film's about slavery, right?"
Mhm.
And I'm like, "No, dude. Like, it's
Yeah.
about black folks in white communities
Yeah.
who feel like they're being like
Yeah.
seen as a commodity,
Mhm.
you know." And in today's world, and that's what this looks like in today's
Yeah.
world, you know, when you have
Yeah.
super liberal communities
Yeah.
who are usually like, oh, I'm all for. I listen to the NPR every day, and I'm all for
Yeah.
like black folks being in Santa Cruz. You
But
know,
it's like, it's so much more than I listen to this or
Yeah.
this and that. Do you understand respect in the culture? Like, okay, for instance, I was just my apartment situation that I
Yeah.
just moved out of, right? Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to sing. I wasn't allowed to play my piano. It got to a point where it was like this and that. I wake up on I do. Like,
Yeah.
there's like parts of my culture. There's parts of just me being me.
Yeah.
You know, that it's like, oh, this is shut down. Or even the way that like I talk, or,
Yeah.
you know, oh, this is no longer educational. This is
Yeah.
no longer, and that's not my projection of it. That's not me being like, oh, you don't feel that way. No, I can completely see in your body language,
Right.
and I know, man, we so adapted to this shit
Yeah.
that we know how to adapt.
Yeah,
and I'm
it's-
not saying that's with everybody,
Yeah.
but we are so programmed to know how to need to get to where we go to survive that you can't tell me it doesn't exist, because I guarantee you, I could tell you, it's not a guarantee. I've lived, witnessed
Yeah.
homies, witnessed people, love. I've witnessed it all the time. What happens when you what happens when you raise your voice just a little bit?
Yeah.
Because you're not, because you're an angry black woman, because you're passionately upset because you were disrespected as a human.
Yeah.
But hold up, you're gonna see all this. Oh, it's too much. Oh, the rage too much. This is that.
Yeah, because it's, you know, it goes back to Reagan times when they couldn't just flat out say we want to ban black people from certain things. They're like,
Yeah.
we'll ban hooligans or you know,
Yeah.
all this weird stuff, which is pretty. They were trying to dog whistle the situation. And I mean, I'm gonna turn this around a little bit, but like with entertainment, right? Like all these problems exist in Santa Cruz and in our community, but I think the power of entertainment is this weird thing that I don't even want to admit has power.
Oh, so
You know what I'm
much
saying?
power.
Like when you go see a movie, and have you been
You're
seeing
so
a movie
influenced.
and you get inspired all of
Oh,
a
yeah.
sudden? Like think of how
Even just,
powerful
like,
that is.
I remember just going to see musicals as
Yes.
a kid, and I was not down to put tights on and flirt around, but
Yeah.
I wanted to. I was just like, why do they like it? Seeing something, seeing
Yeah.
people move in action. There's a show. It's a reason we do it. There's a reason. why you get the car you got? You didn't just get the
Yeah.
car you got because it was convenient and got you to point A to point B.
Yeah.
No, why do you have the phone that you have? Why do you get the, there's always marketing and advertisement is a professional way of saying connection and networking.
It's almost like people don't really want to admit how much they're influenced.
Oh,
right?
yeah. No,
definitely
at
in
all.
Santa Cruz.
Oh, yeah.
Because Santa Cruz in California, for my listeners who are not in California, is a very bubble. We're a bubble.
Yes,
very
so.
very liberal, very open-minded, woke bubble,
Yeah.
right? Which means like if you're like I'm watching Netflix, everyone's like, oh well, I guess I am too.
Yeah.
And it's like this like secret.
Yes.
What shows are you watching?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just watching them. And it's like they're guilty pleasures almost.
Mm-hmm.
Going to see a movie or going to, I think the things that we do brag about are the experiences like dancing,
Exactly.
and going out in the ocean, which is all different types of entertainment and experiences.
Exactly.
You're experiencing a life thing, but you're there's something about it that is exciting you. And I think entertainment also, if we get even deeper into that, it's storytelling.
Yep.
Right? It's purely storytelling, right? Yeah.
Good storytelling.
And everyone wants to have a story that they're living, right? Yeah. And I think when we watch a movie, we sometimes see a story that really like, ooh, that feels interesting, or oh, I want to like explore that, or oh, I want to do this, or we go off and paddleboard in the ocean. Yeah. We're like, we want to be that adventurer. We want to be that person looking at nature. Right. Or just someone who's like
the romantic, swept off your feet,
right.
Whatever it is. They pull you in for a reason.
Exactly. Like and I think once you would just accept that you're being influenced.
Yes.
And I think that's probably the closest to freedom you'll ever get. Yeah. I think freedom is almost an illusion. Yeah. Because
you're always free.
Right. Because if you think about it, like, what is if we define freedom as something that's like you can do anything, be anything, whatever, then what role does genetics play? Yeah. What role does teaching your kid, like, that's called a shoe? Yeah. That's called pants. Technically, you're not giving me a choice. Yeah. So that's not free.
You're instilling structures in me already.
Right. And so that's I think there is like a
let me be free to the norms of the society and how the
or just be aware of like that you are being influenced
all the time.
And it's about being aware, and it's also about choosing what you want to be influenced by. Yep. And then accepting, like, you know what, if I'm going to be influenced, I want to make this story fucking awesome.
Yeah, and stand on it. And stand on that's the thing that, like, admit to that being your truth. Yes. And don't be ashamed that is your truth, because that hidden thing is that's what creates that weird, like, gap in the vibration. Right. Like, say that is what it is. The second, even if people don't agree with it, it's tacky, whatever, but the second you say concrete, this is the brick. Yeah. Somebody next to you says, oh, I mean, it might not be my brick, but, like, they were able to say that. Yeah. So then I can say this. Yeah. Because that's that. And I might not agree with them, but now I'm going to stand on what I said. Yeah. Because they're a brick. And I'm over here like Swiss cheese. I want to be a brick. Man. So stand on it, Yeah. And I think that's something that I've never felt like I fit in. I'm really good with people. I'm friendly to everybody. Everybody just has this great idea of what, Alexandra, author. Oh, you're so friendly. I do these organizations. But all of it is, too, because, like, yes, it's for Soul Good. Yes, it's for my son. Yes, it's for the kids. Yes, it's for everything, right? Yeah. It really is for, but 1,000% is also for me. 1,000%. It's me. Soul Good is me,
No, I think that's really funny, because I feel like, now, ever since I've been doing the podcast, sometimes I'll be out in community, right? And someone will be like, and I'm really flattered, and it does make me feel good. I'm not complaining. But people will come up and they'll be like, thank you so much for what you're doing. Yeah. You're highlighting all these people, and they'll tell me all these things I'm doing. And it's really sweet. Mm-hmm. But I'm also in the space of, at first it kind of confused me, because I was like, man, I feel so selfish. I feel so ambitious, because this is what I just want. This is what I love to do. Yeah. I love having these conversations with you. I could just talk with you for days.
We already know.
You know what I mean?
We had to set a cap.
Yeah, beep, 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 beep. You know what I mean? But see, it's just naturally, it's cool when you find something that you just kind of naturally lean to, that you feel like you're being selfish. Yeah. But you're also helping so many people in their own process, highlighting them, pushing them, whatever. And, and you're doing that. And I think that's like the balance, I think, just is so amazing. You know, I don't know. What do you think about that?
I say, like, I was telling a friend earlier, you know, in terms of like being influenced, and this is like coming to like the realness of like accepting. There was a part of me I had to very much accept that was jealous.
Yes.
I think that's the ugly word that we don't want to talk about, and people don't ever want to admit that they're jealous. And it took me, shout out to Mac Nova, and I love you so much, but I have to say the story because this is very true. There was like a point where I got compared to Mac so much that it almost made me borderline resentful of not only being a performer here, but just in association, where I would do something with her, and I appreciate that she invited me on. And then the second, like for the next 2 weeks, because people would see, oh, you played in Mac Nova's band. Oh, she's the other girl with the white hair, the other black guy, da, da, da. And it got me to the point where I started unfollowing almost every single artist in here because I did not want to be resentful for them. And then there's also my mom's side too, because I'm at home, right? You know, for a certain point, I can only hustle so hard and during the day, and then I'm on my phone, and you know. But I had to come to terms with not the fact that I was like feeling some type of way towards Mac or Awa or my other artists, right? It had to do with like, okay, why are you feeling this way? I'm feeling this way because I'm not out there, and I'm getting compared and put on other people's authenticity because I'm not out there with my authenticity, holding my brick, right? And so instead of being like, I never even, if Mac ever hears this, is probably the first time she's ever gonna hear this, same with Awa or anybody, because it's shit that I kept to myself because it wasn't on them. It's not that it was on me. It was on me to confront my jealousy and say, hey girl, you're jealous because you feeling low because you're not doing what you want to be doing and your full concreteness and your full brickness. And of course you got mom things and other shit, but like, and that's also where So Good came around, because I wanted to be so much of a part of it. And but I had to figure out ways where I could be part of it more. It just made me feel better to start lifting other people up, and it removed the Green Goblin from me. But it also was because the second I started lifting everybody up, they started lifting me up, and then I was able to see myself. I was able to see myself in the mirror. I didn't even know exactly. It wasn't just because I was jealous of the performing and the comparison, but I wasn't even able to see myself. I spent so much time looking at other people. Spent so much time watching and looking at other people. That's where we with the consumers and the phones, the influence. I was so influenced by, like, you know, all supporting. And I'm like, okay, this is how can I do the same thing that is support, but then like, where do I get my support for me? Because I also know I'm a person that I shouldn't say needs, but for me, in terms of how I can get love or how I just pick myself up, I like words. I like words of affirmation for sure. And I don't just want somebody to tell me, oh, girl, you a good singer. Oh, you're beautiful. Oh, you're doing so good as a single mom. I want to feel like it matters, and what I'm doing to it matters, and the compliments are real and genuine, but I'm not just going to like go fish for them. So it's like, for me, that's the only way I actually know how to get some of the things that I need, is to lift other people up. And then I just watched it. I watched their genuine love, because my love for them was real, and it wasn't hate. The jealousy wasn't for them. I wasn't jealous because of them. I was jealous in myself because it was a mask for how unhappy I really was about the fact that I wasn't doing me, and the fact that I wasn't able to be out there, and it was all those things, all those other things that influencing me. And so it's like the only way I knew how to like get rid of that poison, which is like what it is, it has to be fed with something. You got to inject something else into it. And to me, it's like, I don't know, like, you look at a dirty sink, clean water, rinse it out. So like, what is clean that I can give? And it's soul. And like, okay, cool. I just changed. I just had to realize, though, like, I would probably still be in that same loop if I hadn't actually confronted and said the name of jealousy. It took me a while to say that I was jealous.
I think, dude, yes, and yes.
And it just flooded it up. And then I was like, I can't tell me I'm jealous for shit anymore. You know, I'm not jealous about anything. If anything, I'm just jealous of the 35-year-old me that I ain't at, you know, because I'm like, dang, you already there? You passed this breakup? You done this? Okay, she not here yet, but I'm not jealous anymore, and I don't feel the same way anymore. I feel very whole, but I also know it's because I confronted. You gotta confront the ugliness. You really have to sit in the mirror, and it hurts so much sometimes but that's also part of your humanness. Like the parts that scream and cheer for you, also the parts that are sad and like feel jealous and feel ugly and like don't feel okay, also need to be spoken on. Those little yous inside, they need a voice as well. And they're going to sit in there and they're going to fester and they're going to become best friends with the other motherfuckers who are negative in you. and they all gonna link up, and they're gonna take you down from the inside, and you don't even want to know, oh, why am I throwing up all the time? Why am I sick all the time? You're making yourself sick. You haven't even let this stuff out, and that is the negative thinking, whatever. I wouldn't even say it's negative thinking. There's just parts of your real humanness that also need to be drained out. You keep that pus in there, it's gonna build up, you're gonna get infected. And it was like, I knew it was growing.
Yeah.
And so I knew I needed an antidote. And you know what is a good antidote? Music, soul, and love, lifting people up. So I was like, girl, you gotta push it in there, and you gotta keep pushing it in there until it pops out.
I love how you brought up jealousy, because I think jealousy, when I think of that word, it teaches me so much. It's like the ugliness that we're describing.
Yeah.
Oh, the best teachers.
Yeah.
The struggle.
Yep.
The having to go through that.
My best friend.
Best friend.
Yeah.
Because it's the thing in me that's going to tell me almost straight up what's happening.
Yeah.
When I feel jealousy for somebody, I sit with myself and I'm like, what are they doing that I want to do?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? What do they have that I'm like kind of doing this about? Cause then, and then what I unpack is like, man, I'm just feeling this way because of an insecurity within myself.
Yeah.
Like I'm not doing the thing that I know I should be doing for myself. And so it's almost like thank you to the other person who just existed.
Who influenced you.
Yeah, who influenced me and gave me a gift, and I thank God for my brain for being able to feel that gift.
And give the awareness and process it.
Because resentment, man, I get it, man. It's like a thing. I've had to mute pages. I've had to do a lot of weird stuff like that just to keep my mind focused and then compartmentalize to get the stuff done. And then I go and face it. And it's sometimes really difficult.
It's so hard sometimes.
And sometimes it's out of your control. And I think that's even the hardest part. Is when you compare yourself to things that are like unrealistic or body image things or other things like that, where you're like, I don't think I'll ever have that kind of body or thing, but it's reminding me that I need to learn to love who I am right now more, and I think those lessons are so vital and so important, definitely for people who are in the public image, who are doing the work publicly, who are putting themselves out there, because that's when your traumas start to just bleh, right. And so it's learning how to manage that so that you don't cause pain unintentionally, and I think and instead help bringing people together more so. Definitely right now is like a crazy time.
Yeah, I feel like for everybody. I feel like everybody I know is in a really interesting time right now. I'd say we're all weathering the storm. Yeah. But I also, anything I've known about myself, about resilience, honestly, anybody who's sitting here and is listening to this, who's still physically here, there was always, this is not the first time where you felt the world was crumbling. And this is the only thing that's keeping me alive right now, I swear to God, and my son. But like, we made it through that, right? You made it through that. You're this old. When the world was crumbling when you were 7, you're still here. When the world was crumbling when you were 12, you're still here. When, all those things, you're still here. And so unfortunately my rubber band resilience and optimism knows that it is going to be okay, and that isn't a cliche, and the storm will pass. But right now there is an extreme uncomfortableness that needs to be sat in, but it is necessary for the transformation that I cannot see. And because I have no control of that looks like, it's pissing me the fuck off, and I'm going insane. But I have to trust it, just trust the process, I don't know. It's just, we just need to trust the soul good.
Trust the soul good.
I'm so hard on it. Honest to God, real shit. I was surprised that nobody took the name. Because it's
a good name.
Yeah, and it was almost like God waited for me. Like it was supposed to be mine,
I feel like it's also rooted in the culture. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like got this, you just feel good. It's like soul food, soul good. You know what I mean? I'm like,
it's play on words.
I'm like, damn,
good,
I want to go with that.
It's just what? It's just so good. And it's like, that's it. That's the thing too, Everybody has a soul. I believe, even them demons, even them lost demons have a soul, And it's just, I just want to so hard. Like I remember when I was first writing my album, and it's not that I ever wanted to be famous, right? Blow up. Don't get me wrong. Cool. Dreams and goals. But like the point is like there are these messages. Yeah. Like for me as an artist, for me even as a person, I'm so unbelievably compassionate and empathetic that it's like there is so much pain. We spend so much time talking about, oh, you a he, she, they, oh, I'm a Republican, oh, I'm left wing. I don't give a fuck about any of this, even the color. And I, you know, we're adopted, right? I didn't grow up with any of that. I got cousins from North Korea. My fucking grandparents are Swedish, right? My parents, whatever, you know, crazy. I didn't grow up with anybody look at me. But the one thing that I've always been able to see is true, no matter who we are, is pain and loneliness. And it is so obvious that that is a chord, a vibration that resonates through every single human and living thing in this world. Not a single thing cannot relate to the vibration of pain, loneliness, and like anything kind of in there. And if we just work on that vibration, and we just work, not necessarily taking it away because we can't take it away, it's necessary, it's needed. But if we just work on making sure that when people are going through it, there is a space that they can be held, and it's just that. Yeah. To me, that is the only chord that we're going to strike that's actually going to, like, make a change. And it's like, of course, I could sit here and write pop songs and sing different ones and do all this, and, you know, I could. But it wouldn't be true to me, and it wouldn't be true to the voice that I was given. Yeah. My voice hits with a certain type of resonance because I've been through so much pain. But I have chosen every single time to not act on that pain and hurt other people, because I've just witnessed that. That is our cycle. It's a neglect. Whatever, you know, whatever you want to say your pain stem from. There is a neglect of some point. As a mom, as a caretaker, whatever. It's just like that chord, that chord of nurturing, that is really going to be common crazy, but I don't believe there's a single thing in this world that we can talk about change in schools. We can talk about what the gun policies need, what the military. We're not focusing on the fact that there is deep-seated pain from neglect. I don't care if it was because you're a white, black, Asian, whatever, Native American. That's the point. That is the literal point, that you've been through it too. Not the same stories, not the same paper, you know, whatever. Not the same paint was painted, but that, and just that fact that is the dot and that is the key. And man, that's the one we're not turning. But I guarantee you, like once we start turning that, once you have, like, when you sit there and you tell me you cried at my show, it's not because you are crying for me. It's because I hit a cry bubble for you. And the reason I hit a cry bubble for you is because my pain is so real, and I wrote that, and it's real. And that's not what you're hearing. You're not hearing my pain. You're hearing your pain. I am throwing you a vibration that is hitting the chord that was your vibration. And that's the same vibration because it's a pain vibration. And that shit runs around the world. So it's like, and that's where the soul is. That's how I know we're all, I believe we're all redeemable. I really do. You know, to some extent, okay, brain, mental health issues for sure. But like, I'm sorry. Even what I've just recently went through with, you know, people, how can you forget this person, blah, blah, blah. Like, I can still see the brokenness. That doesn't mean I want access to you. It doesn't mean I'm not going to have boundaries. However, I believe in your healing and hope because I know there's a piece of neglect that is just screaming to be held. You just need some love. That's it. And that just comes from your soul.
Well, amen to that.
You know?
We're going to move on to our second round here. So this is the question round.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah. So, do you have any?
Ask me if I'm beautiful. Yes.
Are you beautiful?
Gorgeous. Striking.
Very striking.
Mm-hmm. Drop dead. Ain't got nothing to be jealous about, baby.
Oh, wait, do you have any quotes that you live by or think of often?
Oh, 100%. My core quote: treat other people the way you want to be treated. I rock with that to the core of me.
What is something you believe that other people think is crazy?
Treat other people the way you want to be treated. I think. No, yeah, I'm gonna stand on that.
I'm gonna stick with that. Yeah. Do you have a favorite failure to success story?
Oh yeah. Failure to success. My whole damn life. No, but I would say this is the failure to success story. I don't think there's one. I think that I could say that it was like the beginning of like when COVID happened, I lost my job and I didn't get like unemployment checks and I was like, you know, homeschooling my son and everything like that. And I really had no choice but to sing to make income. And yeah, that was the flip on how I got on the stage. And I could say, oh, you know, my cleaning business failed and then everything. But I believe that every single failure, my relationships, everything has been a projection to the success of. So I guess it's not one story. I guess my life is one big failure, but it's also one big success.
I love that. What new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
I would say most recently, I'd say fully accepting and letting go, but also like probably the biggest one, actually scratch that shit, is not feeling bad about setting the boundaries that protect you. And that when you do that, that does not, even though they are hard and they don't feel good with people that you love or whatever, it does not mean that you are a bad person. I usually feel extremely bad when I have to set boundaries, because I would love to love everything, but there's like a certain point where it's like, dude, you just keep getting hit on the head. It may not even be that, but it's just, if it's not okay with you, like, be the mom that you are, you know, be your own mom.
When you feel overwhelmed or unfocused, what do you do? And you can be honest.
When I feel overwhelmed, well, the first thing is I usually say that I feel overwhelmed. I would say, sometimes I tend to overwhelm myself more and give myself more work. But if I'm on like a healthy routine, I definitely go through my list. I will definitely go run. And I will definitely cook. Usually I isolate myself, doing something that does with my hands, something that does with my body. But usually I tend to overwhelm myself with more work.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I interviewed Yvette Brooks, and she was a Capitola mayor.
Mm-hmm.
She's, I think, a council member and the executive director of a nonprofit. And when I asked her that question, her answer was, I usually add more.
Yep. I usually start a whole different project, or whatever, or look for this and that. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll light a cigarette too, because I'll be like, fuck this bitch, you know? And when it's usually like within the first, like the beginning of the overwhelm, like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. I usually spaz on some people I'm closest with. I've gotten way better at that. And then when I'm probably like a little further down the line, like a few hours down the line, I'm like, okay, make a list. I'll make a list. Yeah. What is urgent? What actually has to get done today? And actually only do 2 of those things, right? Accomplish 2 of those things and like call it a day. Go smoke some weed, go do some shit with your kid or whatever. But like, chill, bro. Chill. It's just because I'm so hard on myself, and then I'm so hard on myself. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, you're only 30. You need that. Like, you know, I just stack it.
Totally understand that.
Yeah.
If you had to gift one book to someone, what would it be?
If I had to gift one book to somebody, what would it be? I would give, what's it called? There's this book. It's a children's book. I want to say it's called The Way God Made You, or The Way or something. But there's a specific line in this book where it talks about, you know, where it talks about like the you that you were made, and about, you know, what is the freaking line? It's about, you know, you were made to be like this explosion of color. Yeah. And it's not very long. It's really short, but the words in it, it's always going to be a children's book for me. It's either that or what can you do with an idea? That is probably the other one. And it's, again, a children's book. And the book is just about, like, this kid. And he's, like, walking with this egg. It's this little egg. And he's got this egg. And it's, like, one day I had this idea. And there's another book of it, What to Do with a Chance. And they kind of are the same thing. But it's this idea that, like, what do? You let it grow. This idea wanted to be with me all the time. And then it followed me. And it wouldn't leave me alone. And then it grew and it grew and it kept annoying me. And then I realized I needed to give it attention. And then I needed to give it love. And then one day, my dream all of a sudden just exploded. It was gone. And it wasn't just here. It was everywhere. And what do you do with the idea? You change the world. And it's, you know, I'm paraphrasing on the whole thing. Yeah. But it's like both those books resonate on that. And it's just the shit we say to kids, we should be saying to ourselves too, you know, in such a simple way.
100%.
Like, you know, you miss one idea, or you miss one chance, there's going to be another chance. Yes, you did miss that opportunity, but that doesn't mean, but when the next one comes, be ready for it, you know? And it's just like, same with the idea. Like, what do you do with an idea? When you get an idea, you got to feed that. You got to nurture that. You got to, you know?
I do.
Let it bloom, baby. But it's not yours to hold just because it's your idea.
Who do you think of when you hear the word successful?
My mom. 100%.
What advice would you give yourself 10 years ago?
10 years ago? 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I had a baby. The advice I would give myself 10 years ago today. Woo. First of all, I would say that man don't love you. Love yourself, okay? 100%. 100% is probably the first thing I would say to myself. Stop. The love is all around you, the community, you know? Also, too, my birth mom said this to me. I don't talk to my birth mom often, but I really needed to call her, and I knew, like, I was like, who's the closest person I can call to God right now? Like, literally, like, who? I called her, and, you know, she told me, she was like, Alex, she's like, this is the first time, too, that she also gave me the validation, said to me that she's like, you have abandonment issues. I gave you up. And it was like, she took like the blame for it, but like understood that was going to be seeded.
Took responsibility.
Yeah. And we never had that. So first I was like, whoa, okay. But she was like, but when she's like, Alex, I was 13 when I had you. You were given up, adopted. Your family's white. She's like, look at your life. Absolutely nothing about your life is ordinary. So why are you trying to live an ordinary life? Why are you trying to get married at, you know, this age and have a baby this age? There's nothing normal about your life, nothing ordinary. You're not going to go to college when they went to college. You're not going to do this when they did that. That's not for you. Your life literally started from the beginning, and it was not the way anybody else's life. So your life is not going to look anything like anybody else's life is. Don't ever try to walk on that what's normal path. That's what I would tell myself. I'd be like, hey, you're going to get to school when you get to school. You're going to get done when you're going to be done. But there is nothing normal. So you can't even look at nobody's path. Can't even look at the infrastructures of the way that people grew up in two-house families when they got to see their mom and dad and know what that's like, or don't even look at that shit. Yeah. You gotta literally create it on your own, because it just never was. From the beginning of the seed, it was never gonna be the same. So I would tell myself that, and give yourself grace on that journey, and let it be different, let it be colorful, and let yourself be loud, and don't go small, and don't be small at all. But like at the end of the day too, also remember that the people who you look to your left and the right are really the ones that love you. You don't have to try so hard, baby girl. You don't have to reach so much. You're fine just how you are. That's exactly what I would tell myself. And you're going to lose the baby weight.
What is something people often get wrong about you?
That they think I'm like from the hood. They think I'm from like New York City. That I grew up with like black parents, and I'm like, you know, or they just think anything black projected is just like dead wrong. I was like, I grew up as America's sweetheart. I grew up on 150 acres with the nicest white people, like, you know, all these siblings, like the luxuries I was afforded. Like, I did not grow up in poverty or anything like the way that you project. People are usually surprised, and they're like, oh yeah, that's my mom. You know, this is where I come from. Yeah, I get it.
I feel like that reflection, that's such a powerful thing.
Yeah, people think I'm,
because it highlights others' racism.
Oh yeah,
and it shows people who may have the most beautiful intent, the most whatever going on,
3,000%,
that there's still a racist ideology of what people think black people are,
or like where they came from, or
like,
and it's like that's also the reason why I can tell you that I know what I'm doing when I'm doing it. Because, like, because every time you talk to me, you assume, like, you know, like, you have no idea, bro. Like, you have no idea where, you know, bro. Like, I spent my summers in Paris because my mom gets taught there. I was painting on the set on a houseboat, freaking over here humming, you know what I mean? Like, that's where I fell in love with art. Like, yeah. So that's probably the interesting one. And I got that not just in California, though. Like, I mean, like, any kind of where, except for my hometown, you know. But, like, I mean, now as an adult, I should say, as an adult now, people, anytime I say I'm from New York or anything, that or the idea, which tethers on to that I am a R&B singer or a like a rapper. It's and again, that shows your racism too, because I am actually I mean, I don't even genreize myself, but when I always tell people first that I'm a classical pianist, or that I'm a pianist first, because I'm well aware of where you're gonna put me the second I say this already. So that's the thing. Like, of course, yes, I know how this works, because then you're impressed, right? And I'm a composer, right? And then you went to school for it? Oh no, I didn't. But now I'm not just like a musician who this and that, right? I get a little respect on my name, and it should have been respect on it anyways. But yeah, so that's the thing. You learn how to navigate when people.
Oh, I understand.
Don't know how to drive the boat, you know? Yeah. So.
What is the worst advice you have received?
The worst advice that I received? You should stay with that man. No, I don't really think to be honest, the worst advice I've really ever received, I can't really say. I don't really be listening to people a lot in general, but I don't really think. But it's one thing to receive. I don't think I've ever received anybody's bad advice. Yeah. I have listened to bad advice. I never received it. Okay, let's be real clear on that. I ain't never received the negativity that you gave me, but. No, I don't. I can't. I really genuinely can't think of like.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
If you could put anything you wanted on a billboard, what would it say?
My motherfucking face. No, it would. If I could put anything on a billboard, it would say today is a good day to have a good day.
I love that.
Hashtag Soul Good Entertainment. Where things are just so good.
Hashtag Soul Good Entertainment. This is brought to you by Soul Good Entertainment.
Where things are just so good. By the way, 7:20. We're having a Mama's Mad ice cream tour.
Soul Good Entertainment. This is so good. What does what does positive change in yourself?
Look at it. You already marked it, guys. Look at how catchy that is.
And the world look like to you. So what does positive change in yourself and the world look like to you?
It looks like exactly what is going on in my world, in my life right now. And it looks crazy and it looks chaotic and it looks like hell and it hurts so much.
Yeah.
I'm in a lot of pain right now. I am, but I'm here, and so this means I'm doing positive work in my healing stage, and the positive change that I want to see in this world is what I'm making here with you and my friendships and connections and my soul good, and so it looks like this right now. It looks messy, it looks painful, and it looks like I have no money. It looks broken, chaotic, but I also know that long term, where this gonna look.
That's it.
And we needed this look, so this is what it looks like.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so here are the last two questions. Okay. They're kind of silly-ish. Santa Cruz, not so much, but, in the world. What's your astrology sign, and do you resonate with it?
You can't tell. Oh, my gosh. We're offended. And yes, I say we're because there's multiple. Gemini. The ruler of communication. Hello. And I'm not like huge into astrology. I read it to be fun. I definitely lean in the fact that they say Gemini is the ruler of communication. Oh, fuck yeah. 100%, which I very much do rule to me, whether it's music, language, really the whole, we're two-faced, extremely adaptable, knowing how to, I can be in a room with somebody I don't like, and they probably won't know I don't like them because I just know how to, I'll know that you don't like me, but, and so then I'll know how to act, but, For fun and games, I'll be on that.
I'll be on that. Yeah. If you had a power animal, like an animal that would influence you or inspire you, what would it be?
A power animal? 100% it is either going to be a blue whale or it's going to be an elephant. They both pretty much are the exact same to me.
Yeah.
Except one is on the land and one is in the water. I go for the biggest animal because I always feel huge. Like, not even always in like a positive way. I always just feel like I'm too big. Yeah. But they are ridiculously emotionally intelligent. I'm like too emotionally intelligent for my own good sometimes. Yeah. I feel like not even not like it's not even too. That's just where my for me, that's just where it lies. And so they resonate deeply. And also people tend to be afraid of them, because they're so big, because they're so, there's like they're majestic, they move, there's so much power in them, but also we're afraid. Like, imagine if a fucking blue whale just came right up to you. I wouldn't even necessarily think that they were going to hurt me, but the size of them so overwhelming that it's like, I would feel afraid. I definitely would. I would feel some type of like, I would feel I have no control. I can't even protect myself. There's something, I don't know, I never encountered that, but there's something about their massiveness that would intimidate me. Same with the elephant. I'm not saying I wouldn't pet one, but it is like a, like they're giant, but they're also ridiculously loving and playful, emotionally intelligent, memories like a motherfucker, and they've been here. There's something about something being so big and so powerful, but so gentle and so understanding and loving. And old and part of this world. Yeah. So much. Like, if they could talk, man, it would bitch slap us all. They'd be like, yo, I've been like cruising in this water, I've just been walking on this. And also like severely abused.
Yeah. Totally.
Severely abused, So it's going to be like, it's a big ass powerful animal that people tend to be afraid of, but not because they're scary, because they're just so wise and massive.
Absolutely. Okay. So here's your time to say any kind of event you have, like where people can find you. Okay. Give all the things.
Okay, so you can find us on soulgoodentertainment.com, but it's actually soulgood, SOULGOODENT.com. So a website, and all of the events are posted on there, and then you can click on there to go to the Eventbrite, which will give you the tickets for there. And then our Instagram is soulgoodent with an underscore. And you can find all the things on there as well. Partnered with Creative Minds Audiovisual. So you can also, that's how their Instagram is and their website. So you can also find them. And I would urge you to connect with them, as well as like Huey DJ Flows. It's Danny Boy's son. Thomas H. Peterson, Sonivore Studio. Those are all Woodhouse, all part of our collectives and our groups. Invertebrate Records, 88 Over Everything. Those are all tags that you can pop into Instagram, and you'll be able to find those pages. My artist page is Alexandra the Author with an underscore. And you can find everything, links for those on all my pages and everything there. So that's how you can find us. New things coming up, 7/20, which is this Saturday. We have our first Mama's Mad Ice Cream Tour and Market. And that is hosting 40 local moms in Santa Cruz who are all coming out as vendors. And then we have an amazing lineup of Latinx women who are coming from East LA on their ice cream tour. And that's how this was created, because they needed a space. And they were like, how are we going to do this? And I was like, are any of you moms? And I was like, boom, moms pull up. So pull up for the moms. Mary Ann Ice Cream has donated some ice cream, and then we got like 9 pounds of ice cream. So, come get some free ice cream. It's all donation based. Soul Good Entertainment is not a nonprofit, but everything we do is donation based pretty much. So, $3 will get you into the event, and donate $3 get you in the event and some ice cream. $5 will get you ice cream and a giveaway ticket, because these mamas have also donated $25 items or up to a giveaway. So you get your name entered that, and then $10 donation gets you a free beer, giveaway ticket, and ice cream. So you'll be like, come on, and that's it's Santa Cruz. When you get $10 and do that, And so they'll play performances. That's 3 to 8 at Woodhouse on Saturday, 3 to 8 o'clock. So come by anytime. And then we have the following for our Soul Good Sunday. We have NPR Tiny Desk winner Philharmonic, who also won American Songwriting Contest. Super dope guy. He's going to be coming out and breaking it down for Soul Good on that Sunday, and that is also at Woodhouse. That is from 4 to 8.
The 28th, right?
4 to 8, yes. Yeah. It's also the day that I dropped my 3rd album. So be on the lookout for that. My 3rd album drops that day. And Alwa and myself will be performing our new album, which drops August 31st. We have August Lee Stevens, who's coming from Oakland. She's amazing. And then we have Skinny Hendrix and the Earth Tones, who are also coming from Oakland. Amazing, amazing band. So make sure you guys pull up for that. That is ticketed. Again, you can find the links for all that on Creative Minds Audiovisual page, my Soul Good page. There's links for that. Then coming in August, we have a really cool band called Electric Mud. They just opened for the Rolling Stones in May. And they are a huge band out of San Diego. So August 17th, we will be doing a rock show at Woodhouse with also Bird Call, who is local, who will open up for them. And we got some really cool things and vendors for that happening. And then August 25th, we have Back to School, an event for the kids. Your kids can come get their hair braided for free. You can sign up. You can get some backpacks. We have some cool interactive things. We got some studios pulling up. Your kid can record. And so there's tons of all these events coming up. I kind of like cap it at that. So just, come through and check out the website. But every last Sunday of the month, if you don't know, like, hey, when's this? Just every last Sunday of the month, pull up to Woodhouse and you'll find us. It's pretty much as easy peasy as you're going. And just stay focused because there's some really awesome stuff happening. Yeah. And it's so good, It's so good,
That was so good. And Alexandra, it was awesome talking with you.
Always.
And thank you so much for coming on Speak for Change.
You already know.
I'm Thomas H. Pedersen, and this has been Speak for Change podcast. Have a wonderful day.